so this is the template that you will use to hold this conversation. So you'll find this in your playbook, and this is really, really useful because it shows you exactly the questions that you should be asking to get the information that you need. So Kim, I'm just going to go through each of the questions with you because you have context on what can happen around these questions, where it can lead to, just to help people understand what to expect.
Yep.
So with the first question, what is the desired user experience? Could you give us a perspective on that, or what usually happens when this question is asked?
Yep. So I guess this is us understanding what do people want out of this initiative or this training program that we're creating. And this is where the different perspectives of your stakeholders come in. They all have different opinions and how they see it contributing to strategic objectives or something like that. So what I like to say here is, look, if in 2 years' time this project was successful, what would it look like? And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. So you can have them just yell it out to you, the questions up on your whiteboard or on your piece of paper, and you're just documenting, what does everyone say? And then it starts to get other people thinking, and then they're like, I can see how this is aligned to this initiative. We need to talk to X, Y, Z. And it starts to really shape what it looks like. So if they are struggling, the follow-up question is, if this is successful in 2 years, what does it look like? Another way you might want to do when you've got it all out, when people, it's kind of like slowing up and they don't really have much more to say, you might actually just go, hey guys, on a post-it note or just in your pen and paper in front of you, I'd love you to just write down your one-line sentence of what this looks like. There's obviously you just decide how you want to run these questions. You can just sit there and write. It depends on how you like to work. But if you get them individually writing it down, what you can do is collect them up there. You get everyone to explain their sentence and what it is. So they just read it out, blue tack it up on the wall. And sometimes what you can do is get people to vote. You know, you get like, go up with a pen and mark, this is the one that resonates the most with me. And you start to get themes happening. And I guess they're the kind of activities you can run for the rest of these questions as well.
Nice. So what about what's important to the business? Because I'm sure that is quite an important part of the conversation. The project is for the business, partially. So what happens in that for that question?
Yeah, I guess this is where we always hear, you know, is training actually the answer? So it's really important to understand what is the business trying to achieve. And this is normally a business goal. So what strategic objective is this actually helping us to achieve? What difference is this going to make? What impact is this going to have on what? Is it return on investment? Is it saving time? Is it increasing productivity? Is it reducing turnover? We want to hear those things. And we don't know that. Remember, we're not the expert. We're the extractor of information. But if you have the right people in the room, they give you this information. And what's really cool about this is when you go to do your instructional design in terms of like maybe you're creating a storyboard, you start to have the language to speak to the learners. You can start to tell them the why, help them be motivated to care about this initiative. So this language is really, really important for why should we do this in the first place? And then this language then is used with your learners, but it's also used with your stakeholders when they go, I just don't get it, you know, or I'm having resistance towards this. And you can say, well, look, you care about saving money for the organization. We've identified that this project is going to save us money. So you've got language you can use with stakeholders for the life of your project to help you show and demonstrate how you add value and create your solution.
That's so good. I feel like as a designer myself, using creative conversations like this, I can totally relate to that because you know what you're designing is meeting the needs of the people that you're designing for. So whether it's your boss or the organization, and it really gives you that confidence that what you're creating is fit for purpose.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great, everything you spoke about. What about the user? So the people who are impacted by the project, not the leaders, or it could be the leaders, but the users and the people that are impacted. What would you speak about for that question?
Yeah, this is really key because a lot of the times we're told to design a solution, go do this. And we haven't actually gone and spoken to users. And it can be a reactive approach, the way you've always, not you, but your business or your organization has always approached solving problems or doing projects. So what I love about this question is that it's getting the people in your room, your key stakeholders, to forget about their own personal agenda or their own team's agenda and to actually care about who they're designing for. So they're changing their framing and they're looking at the project, the initiative, the problem from a different perspective to have a greater impact.
Love it. All right, the next part of the template. So this is the second page of the template. So the fourth question is, what are the current pain points? So tell us about what happens with this question.
Yep. So I guess this is, again, trying to understand what value us solving this problem or creating this initiative can have on the business as a whole. Because we've got the right people in the room, we're starting to understand their pain points. What's not working right now? Why do they care about getting this right? What's making it hard? What are the challenges they're facing from their business unit, from their team's perspective, from their individual perspective? So we're starting to paint a picture of the value this project will bring to the organization and why it is important. And then it also has, again, it's reinforcing that buy-in from stakeholders. So for example, if budgets get cut and they say, we're not going to do that project anymore, if you have the right people in the room here, they have already identified this is not just another project. We actually have clearly made the link between why it's important to our operations as a business and why we shouldn't cut the budget on this project, or that we should make sure that it gets implemented.
Love it. And lastly, I think this is so important, but what is the ultimate goal? So I feel like that could go in many different directions because everyone might have different versions of what that is. Yep. So yeah, how do you figure out what that ultimate goal is?
Yeah, look, I think at this point in the conversation, it becomes very clear, and that's basically structured on the questions that have got us from 1 to 4 already and getting the answers to that. We're all starting, we've massaged each other into the same kind of perspective and framing of the problem that we're trying to solve for our organization. So at this point, it almost reveals itself, which is really nice, because we've got themes through the language that we've captured. People are able to visually see it. They can see key words, and we start to shape a sentence. So you could stand up there, you run it the way that works for you, but you're looking for one sentence that defines what we are trying to achieve, because this is our success statement. So you can have all the stuff written up on the board and you say, look, come up here with markers, start highlighting the keywords. Let's look at the themes, and then there's lots of different formulas online on, how to write a business goal and things like that. That's where you're headed. So there's SMART goals. There's like something we do now is going to improve or decrease or increase, decrease by a certain time when people do X. So that's where we're trying to get to, so that we have this success statement that is in 2 years' time, you can pick your time frame, but in 2 years' time, if we achieve this, we know that all the work we've done today and through this initiative has been worth our time and effort and has contributed positively back to the organization. And by doing that, like I said at the beginning, you've got throughout your whole project, when you're doing your storyboards, when you are writing policies and procedures, every activity you do in your project moving forward, the conversations you have in meetings, when people bring feedback to you and they want to say, well, have you thought about this? Or what if we did this? You are always pointing back to your success statement, which has been agreed on by the right people to say, help me understand by what you're saying there, how is that going to achieve us here? And what happens a lot of the time is, oh, it doesn't. Maybe it's for phase 2, or maybe we can park on that and continue with what we're doing.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it is so useful to have that success statement because, like you said, if people try and expand the scope of the project or ask for additional things to be added, it's such a useful one-liner to say, how does that help us achieve our success statement? And it keeps you on track, because I think sometimes with projects you're thinking, oh, all this extra stuff has been added. What am I actually trying to achieve? but it just gets you really clear. And I think that's why the creative conversation is so important, just to get really clear on what you're actually trying to solve and ensuring that all of your stakeholders agree with that project goal.
Yeah. It's definitely essential. If you've ever struggled with influencing stakeholders, it's because you haven't done this kind of work up front. So that's why I see the value in a creative conversation. You can call it whatever you want, a kickoff meeting, anything like that, but it is essential to the success of the rest of your project, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a look at the success statement. There's a template in the playbook that you can use. So once you've had this creative conversation, it's about understanding what success looks like. So in that part of your playbook, record success is and whatever you've come up with from that creative conversation.
Yep.
Is there anything else you wanted to add around the success statement, Kim?
No, I think we've said it. You know, it's making sure everyone in the room, you don't leave that room until they're locked in on this is what it is. You don't want people emailing you afterwards and saying, oh, I think it needs to be this. You want it locked in the room, and it defines the rest of the project.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think that's it for the creative conversation. Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your experience. Kim has done quite a few of those conversations, so listen to the advice that she has and you will be successful. Just don't put pressure on yourself. Take it easy. Follow the template question by question and you will get to where you need. And just think about how great it's going to feel when at the end you have a simple statement for success that you can refer to throughout your project. It honestly makes your life so much easier. So yeah, good luck with your creative conversation. Use the playbook as a guide.